All right, so my career started basically when I was in high school. I had a dad that didn't allow me to do sports. I had a dad that made us work Saturdays and Sundays. Now, which when I look back on it, it was awesome because in high school I'm becoming right skilled. So by the time I got out of high school, within 1 or 2 years, I was a journeyman at 17, 18, which led me to start my own business at 18. So, in starting my own business at 18, one of the books that I read a long time ago taught me separation. So, I started becoming an electrical contractor that really dealt with multifamily homes and apartment complexes, which led me, when you think about where you're at and where I'm at today and how I got there, what I didn't know at that time was the processes I was putting in place and trying to prefab things and standardize things and lead things into business practices, right, were instrumental in my future years. So I became an electrical contractor, literally loved it. But what we all know in contracting, because we're all contractors here, right? Is a lot of times is you're putting out fires every day. And I'm a fireman, and I'm chasing money. I'm hiring and firing people. Superintendents are calling me, and all these bad things happen. And then the worst happened. December 18th of 1989, I was doing work for the 23rd biggest builder in the United States, and he ended up going bankrupt on all of us, every trade on the jobs. So I got hit for $2 million. Now, during the time in the late '70s and in the '80s, I always did outdoor lighting for fun for a lot of high-end clients, and I did it for fun. Mercury vapor, color changing, and a lot of different things. So when that happened, I decided to hang up my electrical contracting career and become a full-time lighting guy. So January 1st of 1990, I became a full-time lighting guy. So I'm out there, and I didn't really know that much, and I certainly didn't know as much as I needed to become a full-time guy. So I went to the 10 of some of the wealthiest people I knew, and I said, I'm going to do your job for free. So free meant they pay my guys, and they pay the material. So when I'm thinking about what do I want to do I want to go back to college? I always wanted to be, or go to college, never went to college. I went to college of life, but do I want to go to college and become an electrical engineer, which always excited and fascinated me? I decided to sit there instead of going wasting 4 years of my life in that regard, I'll go do 10 jobs. So within a matter of 4, 5, 6 weeks, I had a lot of experience under my belt. I probably put in 600 or 700 lights on those 10 jobs, and we made mistakes, and we messed up, and we burned wire. We did so many bad things, but I had now history behind me, and my guys were trained. And in that period of those 10 jobs, I realized that if I was going to be an outdoor lighting guy, it was impossible to get the proper voltage to a light bulb. So I went and I called Bill Loughlin, God rest his soul, of Nightscaping, and I used his voltage drop formula, and it was wrong. So I called and luckily got Bill on the phone, and Bill said simply, I'm wrong, he's right. Well, as an electrical contractor, I came back to my office, and I have hundreds of books. I have a library in my house because I'm a big guy for knowledge. And I looked, and I found out the voltage formula is not correct. So I do the right formula. I find out instead of having 12 volts, of course I know reality, I got 8 volts at the light bulbs. I developed the multi-tap transformer. Now, that was the instrument, the single thing that propelled me in the outdoor lighting business, because now I got separation, because now I'm getting proper voltage to the light bulbs. So I'm a guy that was doing apartment complexes. I did some theaters and Bank of Americas and different cultural arts centers, and I was used to halogen light bulbs, 12 volt, that we all had a transformer into the fixture, and I know how bright these light bulbs are. Outdoor lighting, they're yellow, deep, and dim. So now, multi-tap transformer, I developed 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18. The transformer compensated for voltage drop. I got beautiful looking lighting jobs. So now it's not hard for me to start progressing into a real lighting guy. So through a 5-year span from 1990 to June of 1995, installing tens and tens and tens of thousands of lights, developing a multi-tap transformer, developing a well light, which ended up being smart only because it taught me placement, because I developed my philosophy of using a single light bulb, which taught me to develop a lighting portrait. I was manufacturing. Then people started taking notice. I started selling. So then I started selling 1,000 lights, 200 transformers. I thought, well, that's even better than going out doing work. I just make a sale. So then I quit outdoor lighting June of 1995 and started Unique Lighting Systems. So when we started Unique Lighting Systems, we were very one-dimensional. One transformer, one well light. All right, so in starting now my manufacturing business full-time, because I was already a manufacturer for 5 years, I realized that I had something special and new. But I also realized, and I'm going to say, I'm the luckiest guy in 1995, in 1990, and now in 2018, that I'm the only person as a manufacturer that ever has installed outdoor lighting. That's a powerful statement to where when you're got a manufacturer and my team around me, we learn things and we manufacture things for specific reasons. So I took that into my company called Illumination in 1990. I took that into Unique in 1995. So when I'm sitting there and I'm walking on jobs 2, 3, 4 years later, and I have a client calling me up and their lighting system is failing, I have to sit there and progress and do things differently. So I look at things like, we all know the saying, happy wife, happy life. Well, for me, I have two relationships that have to go hand in hand. I have a relationship with my family that I have to maintain and progress, and I have a relationship with my clients. I don't have happy clients, I don't have a happy life, which then makes my wife not happy. So in order to sit there and maintain a business, I have to have clients that will continue to call me up and give me referrals, because as we all know in business, referrals are earned, not bought. So I have to change, and I have to sit there and do things that are in the best interest of my clients. So I think about how lucky I've been. When I started my outdoor lighting company in 1990, then I started Unique in 1995, and now I'm starting my new company, Lifetime Lighting, in 2018, to where I'm lucky because no other manufacturer has installed lights. So in the process of 90 to 95, I installed, I don't even know, 30, 40,000 lights. And then from 95 to 2011, in owning Unique, doing hundreds of seminars and tens of advanced universities and tons of jobs, another 10 or 20,000 lights. And when you sit there and you go back years later, you find so many faults and so many things you did wrong. Now, was it wrong from a manufacturing point? Was it wrong from an install point? Was it wrong because I didn't put the fixtures in a place that prevented them from getting physical damage? And the answer, truthfully, it's all at fault. So as a manufacturer, I have an obligation to sit there and have lights that go for a lifetime. So I want to make sure that I manufacture things properly. I want to make sure I teach and I install the fixtures properly. And I want to make sure that they're not in harm's way. I personally have over 500 lights at my house, and my gardener's been with me for 25 years, 30 years. And they destroy the lights all the time because they're weed whacking and they're mulching and they're throwing stuff. So we have to develop new technologies. And I'm telling you, I've developed a fixture right now called the Guardsman. More on that later. But it takes the fixture out of harm's way. It's really, 30 years later, I'm thinking, why didn't I do this 30 years ago? But I'm proud to say, because of our continually being on the job site leads to a lot of innovation. Now, there's a parallel that's happening right now, which is kind of mind-blowing, to where when I developed the multi-tap transformer, I met a lot of resistance. Now, that resistance was extremely lucky for me because nobody jumped on board with the multi-tap. They fought and fought and fought, and from 95 to the year 2000, it allowed little old me to jump up and gain market share and gain the trust of thousands of contractors out there. So in the year 2000, every single manufacturer came out with a multi-tap after 5 years of continuing saying I'm going to burn down houses. And literally, I had to sue 3 companies. I spent a lot of money. There were reports done on it. The most craziest fake news you'd ever seen in your life. But it was the best thing for me. It allowed me to gain market share. Now I'm starting again. And I'm kind of starting the same thing, coming up with a new transformer. Because what people don't realize with the introduction of LEDs, LEDs are not a halogen light bulb. So the transformers that you're buying today are the transformers that I invented in 1990 to deal with voltage drop from a halogen lamp. Today we have very sophisticated electronic LEDs. These LEDs require specific certain power, and they have to have clean power. And there are just drivers made to do this, right? So we need to give them the proper power that they deserve. So we're getting resistance again in this. It's great news for me because I'm gaining market share on a daily basis. So we're going to want to give the LEDs conditioned power. But it's interesting how history repeats itself. Okay, I'm pretty proud to say that I have some of the same core principles that I've always done from today back for the last 30 years, which is really trying to maintain my skill sets, which means I have to be actively on jobs. I have to actively design. So I only do jobs for friends and family, neighbors, and I'm always on the job with you guys, the contractors. And I'm very good at what I do, helping you design and understand lighting. So I'm going to give you a couple really quick scenarios about why we are so quick to market. We're on a job a long time ago, and I'm on a job, and the job is elevated. So I'm looking on a roof line, and I'm on high elevation on a street, and I realize that in order to sit there and have a cohesive lighting portrait, I need to light the roof up. Well, I don't have at that point a gutter bracket. Nobody had made a gutter bracket. I'm on the phone with my guy. We ended up making a gutter bracket within 2 weeks. Came up with a 6-inch riser to light up the red tile roof, and done. Speed to market. Now I've got a tool, an arsenal to be able to complete my lighting portraits. I'm on a job in Phoenix, Arizona with my ex-national sales manager. We're putting in 100 lights for the first thing that we did called an illumination. Me and him are personally doing it. And I realized we had generated so much trash that I called my guy and said, we need to put a black trash bag in every single transformer now because of the amount of trash that we generate. Now I can go on and tell you stories like that, but that's why we're innovative. I'm on the job every single week, usually innovating, coming up with new ideas. And that's really the strength of this company, innovation, led by execution on the job. So I am so happy to be able to, at some point, take some time to show you all the new innovations that we have done in the past year and a half. And there's been a vacancy in my lighting life when I exited and sold my company to Toro, which a lot of you know that, until I started this new company. And what happened is in 2016, I went to Light Fair, which was in San Diego, which is where I live. So it's very convenient for me. And it's the largest lighting convention in the world. And I realized the lack of innovation for landscape lighting, which gets me super excited. And then I went to the IA, the International Association for Irrigation, which a lot of lighting is sold through irrigation, and lack of innovation. So it just got me super excited again because I have so many ideas, so much creativity for new lines that I wanted to bring into this new company. Now, at that same point, I had visited 3 jobs that we put thousands and thousands and thousands of lights on, and I don't mind sharing those names with you. Wigwam, Talking Stick, Wildhorse Pass. And those jobs were probably put in 9 or 10, and you go back 7 or 8 years later, and frankly, they're destroyed. It was an embarrassment. And again, was it my fault as a manufacturer? Was it the installer? Was it the designer? Was it drunks walking around out of the bar? All of the above. We have to do things different. We have an obligation to our clients. And who's our end client? Is it the end user at a Ritz-Carlton, or is it the installer? It's everybody. So we need to be able to be conscious of what we're putting in. My new line addresses all of that. So for me, when I wanted to start my new lighting company, Lifetime Lighting Systems, I have to have a driving force behind me. There has to be some core principles, there has to be a backstory, there has to be a thought process. So a long time ago, and I don't even remember when, I had read an acronym called SMART, S-M-A-R-T. I've kind of reshifted it a little bit. So SMART, S for me is situational awareness. Now these are things that I want to be aware of my situation when I'm at those 3 resorts. What's happening to the fixtures and how can I correct that? M is for material. I want to use materials made for a lifetime. I want to use materials that last. I don't want them to oxidize. I don't want powder coating to flake off. I don't want maybe aluminum that can pit or corrosion that can develop in threads. A, I wanted to come up with an attachment system. So as a lighting guy, one of the things that I've always wanted to achieve is I wanted to be able to have an attachment system so I can have one fixture be attached to an up down or a tree bracket or a gutter bracket and all these different things to make it easy for me as a lighting guy on the job. I wanted to have R would be for repairability, and this is what was instrumental going back to those jobs in Phoenix. Every single one of these fixtures are lifetime guaranteed, but what a process for the client to have to sit there and take them out, or the contractor ship them back, repair them. Why can't they be field repairable? Why can't you have a first aid kit and repair the fixture on site? So we call this new line, if you will, Born on the Battlefield, because these little soldiers are out there lighting up every single day doing their job. And then T would be, I wanted to transform. I want one fixture to transform into 10 perhaps. So understanding these core values and principles was pretty easy to come up with my new line. So I'm going to give you my top 3 fixtures. The Creator. The Creator is a bullet light that will transform into 10 different fixtures. It's up light, a down light, a flush light, a surface mounted light, a hanging light, and a wall sconce light. It's literally amazing. So you can buy one fixture and buy an attachment kit. I call it the M1 attachment system with all these different bracketry. And when I'm on a lighting job, we were on a lighting job a couple of weeks ago, I bring my little kit, I bring one fixture, and on the job site, I decide, hey, I want to have a moonlight coming down. I want to uplight something. I want to have a surface mounted fixture. It allows me to do that. The next one is the Expander. It's the best wall washer on the market. Again, it allows it to attach into about 7 different fixtures. It has the same core things. Knuckles that come off, knuckles that are repairable, knuckles that have lock and load sockets and lock and load stakes. It's truly innovative. And then my well light, which is fundamentally, I love a well light. That's what I started my first company on and my first full-time lighting on. But now we have the best MR16 well light that changes into about 10 fixtures also. So at the close of this, I really want to leave you with really a couple simple things. I've always said it takes 3 things to do outdoor lighting. It takes a power supply, it takes a wiring method, and it takes fixtures. So, my power supply, which I touched on it earlier. The power supply is the most amazing thing, and it's efficient. It's 100% more efficient than probably what you're using now or things that I developed in the past. So being 100% more efficient, that allows me to do a lot of things. It allows me to come up with a new wiring method, thing number 2. But better than coming up with a wiring method which will save you 100% on your labor, which is a huge number, it guarantees almost the integrity of our light bulbs. So when our light bulbs, we tell you they last 40,000 hours, they're going to last 40,000 hours. Now let's look at the history of the last 7 or 8 years. When we know leading manufacturers came out and said the LED is good for 100,000 hours. Quickly they said 80, quickly they said 60, quickly they said 50, 40, 30, 25. Because you can't hook an LED up to a magnetic transformer. That doesn't work. That's putting diesel into a gas engine, right? So you need to have clean power. It needs to be stable. It needs to do about 10 other things. Because when we run what they need and they're efficient, I get my new wiring method. So, wiring method. I now have a 30-foot loopable lead that comes out of my fixture. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. There's a 30-foot loop. It ties into itself. Now you, depending on the situation and the job, you cut that lead predicated upon where your fixtures are at. So you can link them together. Effectively, you might call that daisy chain. You can tie them into a central junction point. You can tee them. You can do anything that you want. And this, because I give you 30 feet of wire on my fixture and I give you a 50-foot lead out of the transformer, you effectively will never buy wire on a normal job again, which hence saves you money and saves you labor again. So we have a new wiring method, which there's a lot more detail on some other videos. And now we have fixtures. So we got power supply, wiring method, fixtures. Now I've already said in the smart analogy of what I wanted to do. So all of my fixtures maintain this attachment system. Now when I have my favorite fixture, the Creator, I'm allowed to transform it into 10 different fixtures through this attachment system. It can change, the knuckle comes off, so it's threaded up into the bullet. Now it becomes a flush light. I screw in a tree bracket, it becomes a down light. I put it in a dome base, it becomes a flush mounted down light. I put a ring in it, it transforms into a hanging light into a tree. It transforms into 10 different fixtures. It's literally amazing. So, one of the things I want you guys to realize right now is what excites me a lot. It gets me really, my energy gets up, is when I do advanced universities, I do seminars. We do them through a lot of more technical things that I've never really done in my past. One of them is a webinar where I'm in my office, you're in the field, you're in your office, and I can sit there and I can help you be creative. And we can do this on the phone, we can do it a lot of things because I can help you and I want to help you. So my new line allows us to be creative, is it allows us to get inspired. Because what I have found out, when I don't have access to the right material, my favorite saying on a job, as we all know, is, you ain't gonna see it from my house, right? I'm not gonna worry about it because I'm not gonna go back to the supply house and get that downlight that I truly need. So I'm allowing you to be creative. I implore you to be creative. Let the juices flow. Let that lighting get expanded. All right, guys, come on. We know when we're on a lighting job and we sit there and that homeowner's happy. The most happiest that homeowner's probably ever been, because outdoor lighting, without outdoor lighting, you don't generate any type of space. So it's easy, it's fun, it's invigorating. So I want you to be creative. I want you to be innovative. I want you to use lifetime lighting systems because it works. Thanks for paying attention.